Hello everyone, it's Miriam here at the Paper Wheel Studio, the home of the Wheelchair Crafter. I'm in my craft room again today, and today I want to, since I'm trying to match up on the ABC April Challenge, I would like to do labels today. Today is for the letter L, and L is for labels. So we are going to make lots of labels. When I started my junk journaling journey, which was a couple years back, I didn't really know what you'd use a label for in a junk journal. It's like, why do I need labels? Well, I brought along just a simple journal card here that I have made, and you can see, I mean, this would be considered a label. This is a label. So there are many ways that you can add them to all of your projects that you make, and labels, tickets, things like that are nice embellishments to add to your pieces of ephemera. So I thought I would do some stamped labels today. I also want to show you something else here that I brought along, however, before we get started. This is a book that I keep lots of labels in. As you can see, I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I just have organized my labels, put all similar things together. There are blank ones. There are Tim Holtz labels in here. There are printed labels. I'm going to pull these out if we have time. We might use some and stamp on some of these. They're just printables that I have either found on the internet for free or purchased from a creator on Etsy. I apologize, I do not remember where every one of these came from. I also, however, do have tickets in here. And I have lots of tickets. More labels, and I have my stamps in here as well. So lots of different things, but it's just an old stamp album is a great way to store your pieces of ephemera that you might want to, or pieces, embellishments that you might want to turn into pieces of ephemera in your journal. So I'm going to get this out of the way here so I have some room to work. And I recently picked up a couple rolls of these labels. They had them on Temu in several different colors, and I got me a couple browns and a blue, some blue ones. So I'm going to work on some of these. And I have these round labels here. So I'm going to peel me off a bit of these. And I'll likely do some stamping, and since I have my stamps already here, I'll tear this off the end because I don't want to fight with that tape right here on the video and take up time fighting with and getting that ready. These come off pretty easy, so I need to be careful here. But let's tear off some of these. I'll get more if I have more time. But these are just craft labels. Yesterday was K for craft. This brown color is often called craft paper, craft cardstock, K-R-A-F-T, and these were just the brown, light brown labels that will blend very well with the craft cardstocks. So we have these things. I do have some unusual inks. These are some Ranger inks from way back, but I did not use them much. So I do have so there's probably a lot of ink in these, I guess. I got distracted there for a minute reading what was on the acid-free, non-toxic. I do have my water bottle here if we need a little squirt to wet them down. If your ink pads seem to be dried up, it might be that they have a lot of ink on them. They just simply I need a little squirt of water to get going. So I have some stamp blocks and some stamps over here to the side and the paper to off stamp on if necessary. So I think we'll just get going here, folks, and I'll start with some stamping. My plan is to stamp with the permanent ink initially, and then maybe come back in and do some decorating of them a little bit if I have time. I hope to, because it certainly will not take a long time to put the stamps down if I don't spend a lot of time trying to decide what I want to use. So I'm going to start with, let's see, a new set of labels that I got in the mail yesterday. Not labels, stamps. These I picked up on Temu. And there are several ones here, various circular, all different kinds of stamps. So we're just going to play with some of these. And I have a couple small stamp blocks over here. We'll probably use some bigger ones for my bigger labels, but we'll start with the smaller ones first. And do some circular ones, and we'll go from there. I also have some of my grungy stamps that I do use occasionally as well. So for now, I'm going to leave the grungy ones in my box here where I keep them so that they don't get mixed up on my desk, and just get out one of my stamp blocks that will work. I'm still going to get this one out too, because some of the smaller ones do better on the littler stamp blocks. And I just have a placemat that I covered with contact paper on my desk. So there's really nothing else under there. So let's see. I'm afraid, I don't know if one of these might be too large for these little circles, but it would work for my brown circles and these larger ones. Yeah. And I do have this little tiny one here, so we'll just go ahead and use it on the little teeny tiny ones. And I did not bring my blue ink along, but I have my black ink, so that my StazOn. It is in jet black, which is what I'm using as my permanent ink. VersaFine would work. You can really use any. If you're going to be doing any kind of mixed media and wetting your label down after you stamp it, you want to make sure you use a permanent ink. If you use your oxides and things like that, you will not, they'll bleed when you add your water or your mediums to them. I'm really not paying attention whether or not I get these upside down on here, because when I take it off, it's not going to matter which way it goes. So I'm just going to off stamp just to check and make sure my stamp's working okay. And it is. I want these to be good and dark, because likely I will come along and add things to them. So I'm just going to try to get them straight on here as best as I can see to do. That one didn't turn out too bad. It is upside down, but that's okay. It didn't get all my stamp, but I'm okay with that, because when they do that, it just kind of adds to the grungy look. I am going to do some of the things that Tony from Crafting by Tony has done on her video. I'm certainly not as good as she is at grunging. She and Margaret from Seven Plaza are like the queens of grudge. And I certainly am learning. I'm learning my style and how to do things. And so I'm not going to sweat it. If it doesn't look perfect, it's fine by me. And there's so many creators out there. Explore, look around, find out what your style is, and go from there. It really will make a difference when you're creating your journals if you just play around and try to do you, and just find out what you like the best. I'm just getting a wipe here while I'm talking to you. I happen to have one in my lap, but I had to scoot back a bit to get to it. So let's just scoot right back up here. I'm not so sure I like that little one with a round there around it, but that's okay. And this wipe does not want to clean my stamps off. Usually this isn't a baby wipe, it was just a hand wipe I had, which is probably why it's not, but that's okay. It's cleaning them enough that I'm okay with that. So let's see. I have some others here that I think I'm just going to take and stamp some of them on the brown labels and do some of those first, and then I'll bring these other labels back in because these will work just perfect with some of these round stamps that I have over here. And there's no lines around these to where you're gonna have to match up your duplicate lines. Every one of those stamps labels have lines around them. These are just blank labels, so it really doesn't matter. You could even get file folder labels and turn them into labels for your junk journal by using stamps and colored inks and things like that. It really would not matter what. And I know I had a round stamp here, and did you see where it flopped to, folks? Because it is missing. Well, let's just get another one here, Miriam, and we'll use it. I don't know how I'll find that one here when I finish filming. I'll go back and look for it. I'm not worried about it at the moment. So let's just pull these two off here that are nice and round, and we'll start with those. I don't care if I have several of the same thing. It does not matter to me, because likely I would not use them in the same place, so it wouldn't really matter. Okay, so we're going to keep this nice and simple, and I think for this one, my Ranger inks, pretty sure are permanent. But let's just go ahead and use this one for now and do some of these. And I just got these in the mail yesterday, so we'll see how they are. I always like to kind of test them and see if it works well. See, that's why you test them, to see if it works very well beforehand. And I'm not sure. I think I left my ink open, so we're going to give it a little assistance here and give it a squirt. Just kind of remind it what it's here to do. Yeah. And if you do add water like that, you always want to come back and be sure you let it dry good before. Yeah, I moved when I put that one up. That one wasn't so great, but we are in luck. I have an entire roll here. I moved as I was putting that down, so let me try again here. I think I missed some ink on that side too. There we go. I think I have it all now. Yep. Yeah, it's completely covered now. So we're going to put that one right there. I did not move that time, so it turned out it's just a little crooked. The more you do these, the better you get. So let's try a couple more. This is new, using these labels. I am not claiming to know everything or know exactly what I'm doing. I just brought you that one. Okay, there we go. Third time a charm. So what I'm going to do is take the two that I messed up on, and I'm just going to lay them over here to the side. I'm okay with that. They're both kind of smeared a little, so I'm good with that. And I'm going to add some more ink here and try to get me another one on here. If I can get it fairly centerized. There we go. Okay, that's okay. It still came out pretty good, even though it's a little lighter. It'll tear me off some more labels here off of my roll to the side, because once you get going with these, you can do several of them in a row. So let's do one or two more of this one. Then I'll peer around here and see if we can find that other stamp, because I think it would be really cool to use as well. if you see it, let me know. I'm kidding. But yell really loud so I'll be able to hear you. It's a shame that wouldn't work. You know, I think we need ways that you could watch the video and be able to talk to me while I'm doing my video. Aha. The more I stamp, the better I get. It's that way with everything. So if you start out and try some of this stuff and you don't like how it looks, just keep playing. You'll figure it all out in the end. Again, that one's crooked, but I'll probably just leave it and then cut around it and make it work at that point. All right, so let's wipe this one off and go for another one. And maybe that stamp that I laid on top of the one will appear here. Let's see. You're not there. And you're not there. It probably flew across the desk because I forgot it was on there, that I laid one on there. Just not seeing it. It'll probably appear later on in the video. Let's switch off my stamps here. And try some with this one. I'm going to try the other side of my stamp block because I really didn't like how that side was stamping, and I don't know. Well, it should be working fine. I haven't done anything to it, but it was probably operator error, not the stamping itself. It was how the person operating it was doing it. Let's try this again. Maybe if I hold it by the sides, I can do a little bit better. Ah, yes. Yes, yes. I like this one, so I'm going to probably do several of these across here. Put enough ink on there, maybe I can do 2 without having to go back to the ink pad. I know you're not supposed to rub them on the ink pad, but I do. I apologize. Oh, guess what I found? It was sticking to this other stamp block up here. You're probably yelling at me the whole time. Thank you, thank you. There it is. We can use it now. Okay, so let's see here. If we can get these on here fairly well. I waited too long. It dried. It's drying on my ink pad because I went after that other stamp. So let's try again. Oh, that one turned out really good. And that one was good. All right. Do a few more of these. I was going to wipe it off, but I changed my mind. I'm going to do a few more of these. Okay. And let's put my black ink away, and we're going to try some of my other colors here that I have. Aha, aha. I don't want to use that because it's a lighter. Let's try some pesto. This is a Ranger ink. I don't even know if they sell them anymore. It's from my card making days that were a few years ago. Haha. Well, probably more than few. But anyway. All right, so let's get some of this one on here. Hopefully we can get some ink from it. Let's see what it comes out like on there. Oh, that actually is very pretty. Give it another squirt of water because I know it's got a lot of ink in it. Because like I said, I rarely use these after I got them. So let's just wake this little critter up and get some of that good ink out of there. There we go. I'm seeing some pretty ink now. It almost looks brown when it hits the paper. Ooh, on there it gives it a little bit of a reddish brown. Let's do one more with this one, see if I can get one to turn out pretty good. Okay. Best I'm gonna get then. Do we want to try the ginger and see if it comes out better, or let's do a gathered twigs. No, I said I wasn't gonna do that, didn't I? Let's not do gathered twigs. I have ginger and I have rust. Let's try a ginger and see what we get from it. And then we'll try the rust. And then we're going to try some of these others that I have here. All right, let's use this one that I lost there for a bit. I think it's a different one than I had. Yeah, that's the one I used. Trying to keep them together there. So when I go to put them away, it'll be a little easier. Okay. Hopefully this is the good side of that stamp block. I don't remember. Okay. Just gonna rock it a little bit just to kind of get some ink on my stamp, since just wake it up and get it on here. Try out what I get. Not too bad. I think we need a little more water. After I get these stamped, I think with my other ones, I'm going to show you a couple more things that I'm wanting to do here. These kinds of things you sometimes have to do in stages. You got to stamp and let it dry and then come back. Oh, that's not even turning out on that brown at all. Looked pretty good there. Okay, we move on to rust. Tell you what, let's go back to the StazOn, because these are older inks and I know this StazOn is have not had it as long. So let's just, do I dare? No, I'm not going to restamp on there. That turned out really good. Cool. Do we dare try it? See if we can get one on here. Oh, that didn't turn out too bad. You can't really see the other one under it. So I like it. So we have several here that I can take my dauber once these are completely dry and do some inking up and make them look pretty cool. Okay, let's try the one I just used on these two larger circles here on this one. And go ahead and try that. I'm going to all right, look at that. That turned out perfect. Can you see it good? I hope. Oh, that one turned out so good too. Yeah, I like it. All right, so let's put these ones to the side here. And I'm going to come along with some that do not have things around them. So let's see what ones here on the bottom we could possibly pull out and use here. I've got one that has some lines. And here's another one that is little, because I have a few little ones here. All right, I got these two. I'm good with that. And let's see. Oh, we got another one here that we could use on a little bit bigger one. And I think I'll leave it at that. And I'm going to move on after I stamp a few of these. I'm going to move on to my other stamps. Okay, this one looks like it would fit one of these smaller ones. There we go. That's good. try really hard to get this baby on here straight. Oh, that turned out good too. I like that. Okay. Let's pull another one in. Need my other stamp block up here. I want to keep my stamp, and we'll come back and get those cleaned and get them put away. So I'm trying to keep them together here. Boom, boom, boom. So I hope where you are today, your weather is a little bit more cooperative. We're not getting rain, but where you were supposed to get rain today, it hasn't started yet, but it's been, oh, that turned out super good, super duper. Let's just go ahead and put it on a square one here as well. Ah, yes. Either I'm getting better at stamping, or this block works better than the other one, which it could be, because it is a little bit larger. Okay, I don't even know what this says. Sharp cell with a number, so let's get it inked good. And will it fit on there? Too much? Yeah, it looks a little big for that, so let's bring it down here and put it on. The little one down here. That's what I was aiming for. Put that one on there. Okay. We need something very small for there, so keep that in mind. And let's see, I have some smaller ones here that I could use this on. I think what I'll do is add it to this guy right here. And where the ones I just had, we'll use this other one on here. That'll work out great. And then I don't want to run out of time, so rather than stamping every single one of these right this minute, I want to play with my inks a little bit and see. Let's see. Let's turn it. I guess it really doesn't matter now. I just said that, didn't I? Because once you take it off the label, you can turn it around. Up. Okay. So that one messed up. Let's try a good one. Got too excited here. Went too fast. Yeah. That's okay. Slightly blurry, but it won't matter. All right. Let's work with the brown ones. And give me a minute. I'm going to cut it in half so that it'll be a little easier and I'll have more room to work with it on my desk. Let's put you guys back over here with the others. Okay, here we go. And let's cut these two in half. Hopefully that will take me very long. I don't use these scissors very well, but I'm going to be going out of town for a few days, and I've already packed up my craft bag. So, here we go. Okay. We're going to play with the brown ones here. So, I've not tried this. What did I get? Brown ones? Yeah. Okay. I've not tried this. However, what I wet these with my wet, and I'm going to I thought about using one of my paint brushes, but I think instead I'm going to grab a couple of my cloths I have over here. And I'm afraid if I don't do it using a cloth or something besides a paintbrush that I'm going to stain my paintbrushes, and then my paintbrushes won't be worth much when I'm done. So, going to just, it's not very wet. I'm going to wet this down a bit, and I just dropped my stamp book on the floor. Well, we're going to carry on. You know how it goes with videos, you just carry on. Okay. All right, I want to wet it good so I have plenty of liquid on there to pull some ink off. Yeah, there we go. This is what we want. So now I have some rust on here, and I'm just going to take some and just kind of, ooh, look at that. Rub it on some of these labels. And I don't know how quickly this will dry, but let's see if I take one with nothing on it and then just come back and rub it a bit, if it'll spread it around. So we're just kind of coloring some of these labels up a bit. And we don't want to be, look, you know, we don't want to look perfect, because that grunge look is pretty cool. To get that to move a little bit, let's see, one of these has quite a bit of water, I believe. Maybe not. I thought it did. Nope, no water. So we're going to use our squirt bottle, and I'm just going to squirt it a bit to see if I can move it around a little. These don't seem to be coated with anything, but you never know. Oh, that's spreading good. Okay. And I like how that got an off spray on this other one. Let's get that wiped up there so I don't end up with a mess when I'm done. So I really don't want a lot. And I think I'm going to just leave that label there as it is. I'll wipe under here so I don't end up with, I had a bunch of black ink already on my desk, didn't I? Okay, so we're just going to kind of play a bit with the inks and give these a little color. Let's try some butterscotch. I'm hoping it'll give it the old yellowed look. And at this point, you could come along with Distress Oxides and use them to color up your labels. And they probably would without much problem. Okay. All right. Those are stamps that we're done with. We're going to put those over there. Now, I thought what am I looking for? Ah, another cloth. That's what I'm looking for. Let's get some ink on here. And again, I don't want a lot on it this time. I want to go, you know, kind of light. So I've got some on here. I'm going to squirt my cloth with water now. Let's try that method and see if that does better. I really don't know. I'm playing and experimenting now, guys, with old inks. So let's just see. Ooh, yeah. Look at that one. I'm going to put a little bit of the butterscotch on that one. That looks cool. Let's give this one some. Okay. I'm going to add I'm going to go ahead and do these, and then I'm going to come back with a different ink and add some more colors. I'm just kind of trying to get the backgrounds at this point. I don't really care if they even go on there all the way. Not bad. And of course, when we are done, we'll dry some of these and then we'll take a look at them. I will bring you back and show you what they look like after they have had an opportunity to dry. My pesto is quite dark, and I honestly, when I don't see green when I look at that, but it's green on the outside, so let's see what happens when we squirt it with water. I know when we stamped it, it was a very olivey dark green, so let's see what happens if we wet this one down some. And spread this around so we don't quite have as much all over the whole thing. And let's add a little here and there to these ones that are down here. Yeah. And I'm just kind of coming along and dabbing some on here and there. So you can use your inks. If you have white cardstock, you could even use like a watercolor paper, and you can use your inks and change the appearance of your white labels without too much problem. I want to try this rusty hinge, so let me go back here. Yeah, this was the rusty hinge. Let's spray this one with water so it won't come off so dark. Got quite a bit on here. The spraying with water seems to work. It's really wetting down the labels. Some of them might not be as sticky when you're done, but hey, they'll still be fine. These aren't coming up, and they're pretty wet, and they're not coming up off there. So we're gonna try to get rid of all that and just use this little end here. It looks quite orange there, but I'm hoping it'll give these more of a rusty kind of appeal. And I'm just throwing a little ink here and there. Yeah, okay. So now we got that. A-okay. Ginger looks brown, very brown, so let's pull in some ginger and see what we can do here. This is almost red brown, really. Do we want to get a little bit of gathered twigs here too? Let's try it and see what happens. But this is what you do, folks. You just get your inks out and just play. Just start playing with them and see what you can come up with. Okay, so now I have that ink on there. I'm going to, if I had a glass mat, I could probably rub the ink pad onto the glass mat and use one of my brushes. However, I do not. So I am just trying to see what I've got here. So added some water there. I did not do a heavy squirting on it because I didn't really. I'm going to use this little bit here. Oh yes, we're getting some brown. Not so sure I like all that dark brown on there, but okay. Let's really wet this part down. And that water will lighten it. See how, can you see how where the oxide was, where I sprayed the water, it's given that white appearance? That's from the Distress Oxide, where it reacts with the water when you go to add water to it. See if we can add some more brown in here and fix this one up a little. Yeah, there we go. Ooh, that's good. Okay. I really have no clue how these are going to turn out when we're done. I've never done this, I'll be honest. I'm a little out of what I consider comfort zone today, but that's not bad. I'm really okay with those. So I'm going to lay those up there to dry. One more thing I'm going to do before I do that. I also have some of the Distress Oxide sprays, and let me see what ones I have up here. I have a walnut stain spray. If I can get it to squirt. I sometimes have trouble with squirts, but squirting bottles. See if I can get it open too. Woohoo! I can't. Well. Aha. All right. So, I don't have, let me put a piece of paper under here. A couple pieces of paper to catch my off sprays. My paper's not real thick, so I'm going to put a few here under this. Just to kind of catch anything that might go off to the side somewhere. All right, here we go. So now I'm just going to squirt, if I get it to squirt. Oh yeah. Oh, would you see that? It went all over it. Wow. That's what happens when you use too much. But again, I don't really care. I'm going to come back with my wet wipe and just blot it so it's not real dark. And can you see that darkness changing to have a little bit of chalkiness to it? It makes it look really cool. I mean, I just don't know how else to describe it. I just think it looks super cool. You definitely, I have learned that you do not follow what I do when it comes to cleaning your craft area. So I'm going to leave those like that. And then I can come back in and stamp with black ink on top of those at a later time, and depending on where I'm going to use them or what I want to do with them. So now I have those discolored labels, or, well, they're not discolored, maybe just colored. Okay, is this the other brown one? Maybe? I think it is. It is, it is. So let's get back here to some of my ones that I have previously used. I mean, they set for a while, they might have dried out a bit, so the ink's gonna be slightly different. This might be Rusty Hinge. I don't remember if it's the Ginger or Rusty Hinge, but just gonna put some down here. Yeah, that one's, these aren't gonna probably be as dark, but that's okay. We're just trying to get some ink down. And you can see if you use a permanent ink and then, or a permanent ink when you stamp, you can go back in with color and you're not going to get anything, any kind of a run on. So we'll go ahead and just get some on all of them. And then we'll come in with, we're going to do things in a slightly different order and see how these turn out. I also have a different spray we'll use on these. Always keep wipes handy when you're working with inks and things, because if not, you end up with a mess. Okay, I need a little more on my yellow. It dried out since it was the first one we used. Let's give it a little here. Again, I think, let's go this way because I got a little bit much on here. And I just want, I don't want quite as much as I got on there. Well, that's not giving me anything, so maybe we do need to go back to this. Okay. If that's what you want me to do. Okay, it's coming off now, getting on there. Perhaps we need a tad more butterscotch. Again, just a tad. I barely touched it on there. Probably a good thing because now I'm getting some yellow off of it. So we just kind of want to rub some of this around here. Then we're going to give them a little squirt of something. Yeah. These are going to have a more of an orange base with the rusty hen, or rusty what? I don't know. Rust, not rusty anything. I'm getting confused with the distress oxides, huh? Okay, now what color should we come along and spray on here? I got some frayed burlap. Gonna try to not spray as much this time, but I also want to spray a little with a little more distance if I can manage it here. Let's try from over here and see what I get. Oh, this one has not been sprayed yet. Okay. You know what I'm going to do rather than spray? Let's see if I can open it. Nope, I can't. All right, so much for that. There we go. If you don't want as much, there are ways that you can keep from getting as much on there. You just would come along with spray it from a distance, let it drip on rather than using a spray. So I'm just going to dot those there. And let's try a mist up here. Really got those, didn't I? Okay. Let's come along here and blot with our yellow. Just kind of blot some of the excess ink off. And then I'm going to use my water and add it just to kind of get that ink to move around a bit. Perhaps, maybe not. I don't know. So, and then I'm going to use another cloth and just blot again to get the excess water off and off of the plastic part of my paper. Okay, so they're not perfect, but I like them. I'm going to wait till they dry and see how they turn out. Okay, let's see. What if, I have an idea. Let's just spray some on the glass. Okay, so now I got some on my glass and my paper underneath. Thank goodness it was laying there, right? And where are those blue labels I had? Here we go. Let's just try some of this frayed burlap on these, and I'm going to use it where I've got, already have some yellow on my cloth, and see what we get here. Ooh, look at that. I need more water on my cloth though, I know that. And let's just go ahead and put some on the labels so that they're already wet when the ink hits them. Not bad. Now, can you see where I sprayed that there? How that frayed burlap's got like that gray to it? That's because it's an oxide and not a regular ink. Now, another thing you might want to keep in mind when you do these is that you wear gloves. My hands will probably have ink on them in my next video, so apologize. That's just the way it is because I didn't take time and, well, put on gloves, I guess. Oh yeah, let's give this guy some more water so that ink will fill in that one. Okay. Do we want to try a little walnut stain? Okay, we're just going to come back in with the one we were using. Get just a little bit on here. Spread it around. So far, I think these are my favorite ones that we've done so far. It's very wet on the back side of the label, so I'm just using my cloth to dry that off. And I'm going to take advantage of the ink here too that we have on here, and we'll use it on our last two labels. Okay, I missed a couple corners on this one, so let's give it just a wee bit more. Oh, I gave it way too much more, didn't I? You know what? That's okay. I like how they have the extra grunge and look that give it a dirty kind of look. Looks like it needs to just be thrown in the trash, huh? Well, we're gonna leave it as is. Rub that one a little more, just to kind of rub some in and around. Don't want to rub too much. You don't want to rub hard enough that you're going to take the paper off once it gets wet. Wet paper can tend to start disintegrating. All right, so that's what we have, and that's the way we're going to keep it. So I'm going to let these dry, and then I will be back and we'll show you what they look like. Now this has ink all over the back of it too, I believe. Or it's where the ink came through on the other side. And I think that's what it is. Yeah, that's where the ink that we sprayed came through. That's what that one's looking like. And in all honesty, it looks so much better after it sits and dries for a bit. So we've got, it's getting on an hour here, and I do not like to go over an hour with my videos. So we have these 3 that we grunged up, and I will see you back once they are all completely dry here, so you can see what the final look on them is. I may go ahead and stamp some things on top here and see what they look like, and bring them back, and I'll show you guys what they look like in the end. Be back shortly. Uh-oh. I have lost my little thing that I used to turn my video on and off. So, you guys go see, oh, there it is, buried under all my cloths over here. All right, now I'm going to go and let these dry, and I'll be back and show you the finished product when I'm all done. Okay, they are completely dry now, and this is what happens when you don't wear gloves, folks. See all that ink on my hands? So I highly recommend, if you're doing what I did earlier, just wear some gloves. So this is what I did off camera. As soon as I turned my camera off, I played with a couple of my inks, and I let these dry overnight. So these are completely done. And this is the one I did on film. So they don't look too bad. My experimenting with my labels didn't go too bad at all. I can come along and use them as is, or stamp something on the ones that don't have any. And look how these 2 circles turned out with that rusty hinge and a little bit of the yellow. And I like this one too. That one looks really cool. Unfortunately, it's not real easy to see all the lighting here. My lighting is not real great this morning, but this is the one that I got a little rambunctious when I sprayed the spray, but I do like how they turned out. And look at this one here on the end. Isn't that pretty cool? So get your inks out, and even paints, whatever you happen to have on hand. If you have white labels, you can easily ink them or paint them or change them into anything that you want. Remember, we also did these round ones. Some of them turned out better than others, but part of that is me learning where to stamp exactly to get what I want. Likely, I'm going to see if I have a punch where I would be able to punch these out a little bit smaller, so then I don't have this excess, and I'll be able to use every one of them that I stamped on these ones. So I also had these 2 here that turned out pretty good. I can even come along and grunge some of these up with my inks and stains and things. So that's it for my video today. I hope everybody enjoyed it, and you all come back to my next video. I have something special planned for the letter M, and the video for Wednesday will actually be held on location at a different spot. So come back, stay tuned, and see where I will be at that time, and you'll get to see some things that you don't usually see on my channel that day. So you all take care and have a great afternoon. Bye for now, everyone.